Hello, welcome back to Benasushi Live Coding. In this video, we're gonna continue from previous live coding. Basically, the same logic idea, dealing with a Boolean true and false. But instead of using this kind of logic and comparison expression, I would like to use something that's more like a animation nodes thing, kind of using kind of like offset. So offset and fall off are very powerful in animation nodes. You already have a bunch of things, bunch of nodes that can control a state, like a two-state at least between two-state for any kind of attribute. So with Boolean, it's kind of similar. You can have like a bunch of value, basically, maybe like 0 and 1, and you can interpolate between these two using the fall-off. So I think that's a very powerful, not maybe not so easy concept to understand if you're a beginner, but still very useful. So this setup, I will delete everything, but I will leave the objects from group and our rigid body enabled attribute. So we just need to provide a value here for these 5 rigid body objects, so we can trigger them on commands, like kind of like orchestra. So we're not gonna be using all these. We can select this, and I will use a C, type C, and then just draw it, paint on it, delete it. All right, how do we do this? First of all, we need a bunch of number, maybe a vector. For offset, we only have vectors and matrices. I will be just using vectors. I wish there's also like offset numbers to interpolate like between two numbers. I think, if I'm not wrong, you can use some kind of interpolation nodes to do that, but interpolate, no, I will just use this. So the idea is I will start with a bunch of random vector, and this guy is going to be a list. I'll make it a count of 5 by default. This goes in there. By default, random vector is giving this a scale of 2, which means if you check it out using viewer, this guy is a bunch of vector within range of -2 and 2, I think. So we can zero this out. So we have like a list of zeros, and the idea is basically to switch from 0, 0, 0 into this value 1, 1, 1. So this is what's gonna happen. As we increase the fall off, this guy is gonna be pushed from 0 into 1, and when it's 1, it's all like a true value. So we can simply use this true value as our Boolean. So here we can separate the vector, because vector is like 3 value. We can simply use one of them. See, as we play with the fall off, this guy is gonna switch from 0 to 1, from false 0 and to true, which is 1. So we can plug this into there. So by doing that, here we can have the objects. Okay, it's already falling off. 0, 0, 0, and if we increase this, it's gonna switch to 1 at some point, and then it's gonna trigger it. Remember that this rigid body thing is actually something that you can create yourself, like this. Not very clear, not by default. It's like this Boolean list, and then you have this on-off, but you cannot control the number here. Oh, actually, you can use this guy. Okay, you can actually do this way. So I will run the simulations. None of them works, but as you switch this one by one, maybe you animate it manually if you like, you can trigger the rigid body that way. But in this case, we are really using this this guy, offset fall off. Okay, so that's pretty clear and actually pretty easy. And at this point, you really just pick up one of the fall off, whether it's fade, delay, wiggle, random. Wiggle actually will wiggle between 0 and 1 continuously. In this case, I'm just gonna use delay, because delay gives you control, kind of like previous live noding. You just give it a time and delay maybe like 15 frames or durations, I don't know, play around with it. And by doing that, you can trigger the true and false simply by using the for loop. So I think this is a really powerful. And now if you have like more objects, I believe you just duplicate it. Now we have 15 objects, and 15 we need to also have the same number 15 here. Maybe just plug this in there. So now we can trigger the dynamic of these objects one by one simply by using the for loop. See, it's got, as the simulation keep on playing, it's gonna fall one by one. What could be more interesting, of course, is that you can eventually learn how you can control this kind of triggering simply by sorting the index or other kind of for loop. I think this is a good kind of a sample example for animation nodes to learn about all this offset and triggering. It's just on and off, you know, but it's pretty useful. So that's pretty much it for this live noding. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.